I'll make it softer later. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Punjabi Hari. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotar the Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotar the Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 28th day of January, 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary, by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 9 entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text 24, page 404. Aham hi sarva yangyanam bhokta cha prabhu eva cha natu mam abhijananti tappena taschavanti te. Aham hi sarva yagyanam bhokta cha prabhu eva cha natu mam abhijananti tattena taschavanti te. Aham hi sarva yagyanam bhokta cha prabhu eva cha natu mam abhijananti tattena taschavanti te. Aham hi sarva yagyanam bhokta cha prabhu eva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvena taschavanti te. Go ahead, Boo. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhu eva cha natu mam abhijananti tat venatash tat venatas chavanti te. Aham I, he surely, sarva of all, yajnanam, sacrifices, bhokta, the enjoyer, cha and prabhu, the Lord, eva also, cha and na, not two, but mam, me, abhijananti, they know, tat vena, in reality, ataha, therefore, chavanti, fall down, te, they. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Purport. Here it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that one should only work for satisfying yajna or Vishnu. The perfectional form of human civilization, known as Varnashram Dharma, is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Minatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, let's think about how the mind works. Thinking, feeling, and willing. We all do it. We may not analyze things that way, but that's actually how we live our lives. Thinking, feeling, willing. Especially in the human form of life, the thinking is more prominent than in lower animals. Animals also feel and they will. They do things basically on instinct. If there's some danger, they can feel that danger and they run or they attack or whatever. If there's something pleasurable, something good to eat or some mate, then they'll feel and will in another way. And whatever thinking they need to navigate it, they'll do it. But human beings have the powerful thinking, but we also do the feeling and willing. So here, Krishna, in these verses that we've been reading, he's trying to wean us away from temptation of worshiping the demigods in order to achieve a much better position of sense gratification, one way or another, either on this planet, future planet, something. How could we get that idea? By thinking about it. By learning about it from the Vedas, right? The three Vedas. You remember he had that verse 22, was it? No, I'm sorry, 20. Trividya mam somapapu tapapa. Trividya refers to these three Vedas, Sama, Yajur, and Rig. Now, in all of the Vedas, there are some very nice quotes about bhakti, about Krishna, and so forth. The Upanishads are part of the Vedas. And some of them deal completely with the Supreme Lord. Like we have the Isha Upanishad. Isha means the control of the Supreme Lord. It's all about the Isha. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad talks about Krishna. It's about Gopal. It's Krishna. That's an Upanishad. But many of the Upanishads emphasize the impersonal aspect, Brahman aspect of the Lord. And in these Vedas that we have, although you'll also find some statements there directly about Krishna, they're rare. And they have some elaborate descriptions of sacrifices in the higher planets and so forth. So if one reads about those, or reads those, studies them, learns them, and especially if you're taught by someone who regards those as the most important part of the Vedas, as Krishna describes in the 2nd chapter, Yamimam pushpitam vacham. Pushpitam vacham means very flowery words of the Vedas. Veda Bharata Pate. I don't know if I spoke here or in the morning class, because I give so many classes, about this idiom. I think
it's much better sound.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So where were we? Thinking, feeling, and willing. And if you get involved in the three Vedas and you learn about that, your parents are into it, and that's what you do, then that's what you will, and that's what you will feel. You will feel an attraction, and you will do what's necessary in order to perform the yajnas, pay the money, hire the priests. That's where your consciousness will be. So in the Bhagavad Gita here, Krishna is trying to give us another idea. He's trying to say, no, this won't help you reach the ultimate goal of life. In Krishna consciousness or any bona fide sampradaya, you're always looking toward the absolute. What is the final goal that I'm trying to reach? Not some intermediary goal. You know this concept of Shreyas and Preyas? You ever heard that? It's a good one to know. It's very simple to understand. We use it all the time in a relative way. Shreyas is the ultimate good. Preyas is immediate good. It's like the difference between... no, that's not what?
Is this for questions?
Okay. They never have any questions. Anyway, okay.
They never have any questions?
Well, we'll see. If they have questions, they can answer them. They sometimes have comments, critiques, but rarely any questions. I'm just kidding. So, where was I? Here's the problem, getting older. Okay. Yes. So thinking, feeling, willing. So Krishna's trying to wean us off. He's trying to redirect our understanding to the absolute or the final goal. And that's why in these two verses, beginning with 20, he says, some study the Vedas, drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets that worship me indirectly, purified of sin-free actions. So this can also, get free of sin-free actions. Not completely, but enough so you can go to heavenly planets. They take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Now, if the Bhagavad Gita ended there, then we all go out and start looking to try to worship Indra, right? But it doesn't. Next verse he says, and there they enjoy like anything, when they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted. They return to this mortal planet again. Now, mortal planet is kind of a weak tea. What he says is the world of death, Martya Loka. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment are adhering to the principles of the three Vedas, achieve only repeated birth and death. Now, this is the principle. This is the principle of Shreyas and Preyas. That Preyas means something that is temporary. You can see it obviously with kids, They grow up, 3, 4, they're just their mother's pet, they're playing all day, life is great. Then comes the time when they have to go to school, pre-kindergarten or whatever it is, right? They're going to be separated, they're going to be disciplined. The whole idea is to turn little animals into human beings, right? So that's a traumatic change. They don't want to do that, but the mother knows that the kids that play all day, every day, then his life will be ruined. He has to get education. So the prayas is his little game that he wants to play with his friends. The shreyas is an education, a good life in the future. So the Bhagavad Gita, the whole philosophy, keys on this concept. Prayas is sense gratification. Sense gratification seems good at the time. Our whole culture is built on it. But in the end, it produces disaster. And that's why we have so many instructions in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. I was just listening today to Prabhupada speak on the teachings of Rishabdev. And he has this verse, the first verse very much teaches that. He says, don't waste your life, oh my dear sons. He's speaking primarily to his sons, but many other sadhus and saints have also gathered. Rishabdev's an incarnation of Krishna. So he says, Nayam deho deha bhajang niloke krishtan kaman arate vidbujanye. That those who have taken birth as human beings should not act like the filthy hogs and just try to wallow in the mud and try to enjoy sex life as much as possible. It's a metaphor, but that's what a life of sensuality is. Rather, that one should perform topo divyam, should accept austerities for purifying the existence of what? Purifying the existence of purifying your consciousness, your heart, of the propensity to try to enjoy the senses and stay entangled in this maze of Maya. Maya is Krishna's agent. It's a thankless task. She's, after all, a servant. But her service is to bewilder us as much as possible into trying to enjoy sense gratification through matter. Now, if we surrender to Krishna, she lets go. Daiviyeshu gunamayi in the 7th chapter. Daiviyeshu gunamayi mama maya dorotya. This divine energy of mine, Maya or illusory energy, is impossible to overcome on your own. You can't do it. But if you surrender unto me, you can easily cross beyond it. Welcome, Hare Krishna. Darshan will be at 8:15. You know that, okay. You're welcome to have class or whatever. So, when you think about it, it's foolishness. Because here you are, you're trying to you enjoy some flickering happiness, and then what do you get? Rebirth, right? And then old age, disease, and death. That's the result. And in the meanwhile, the threefold miseries. This material world is a place of great danger, especially now in Kali Yuga. Now we have an opportunity, because of the mercy of Lord Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the whole Sampradaya, of practicing this, don't forget, susukam kartam avyam, very happily and easily performed, compared to the Ashtanga Yoga from the 6th chapter. Go alone to a place, sacred place, sit on this mat, practice pranayama. Sit up straight. It even tells you how to sit, right? Stare at between the eyebrows. Okay. Now, prepared for like 100-year ordeal, years and years. Alone? Who can stay alone for so long? It's impossible. But the process of bhakti yoga is joyfully performed, based on Hare Krishna. Thanks for coming. Hare Bol. So here he's, in this 9th chapter, this is the most confidential knowledge, and these verses he's trying to get us, don't even worship the demigods. No, that's not good enough. That's also deferring your immediate pleasure, right? All the sacrifice you have to perform. But the idea is, I'll enjoy materially later on. But that's still temporary, because the whole thing is here that eventually your punya is gone. Martya lokam vishanti. And so by practicing this observance of the materialistic part of the Vedas, the karma kanda, gatagatam kama kama labante, you simply get some satisfaction of your material desires, but you go and come, you don't make any progress. On the other hand, he says, ananyas chintayanto mam, those who worship me exclusively, this is text 22, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, I preserve what they have. So remember this idea of yoga and kshema? I described that. Yoga are the things we need to live, and kshema is security. You need both of those things to be somewhat peaceful. You have to have a place of some tranquility in order to practice bhakti yoga. So Krishna says, I personally supply those. I'm not going to supply the things that you get in the gardens of heaven. That's just an illusion. That's a temptation that you want to try to avoid. I'll provide what you need to live in this world comfortably, and so you can practice bhakti yoga and get out of it entirely. So then now in the verse we read yesterday, 23, he's condemning it. Anya devata bhaktaya shraddhayanvata. Those who have faith in worshipping other gods, they're actually worshipping me, but avidhi purvakam. This is text 23. Vidhis are the rules and regulations of the Shastra. They're worshipping me, but not according to how I want them to worship me. Indirectly. This whole indirect worship. Those people who are completely absorbed in the material energy, in the Bible it says worshipping mammon, right? You know, the money and the thing. It's like the financialization of the economy, where who's making all the money? The hedge funds and the bankers and the guys who are manipulating the stocks, right? But what is it about that? Where's their consciousness at? Always with the numbers. Always with the numbers, you know. Because after all, it's global world, globalization, right? I can't just know what's going on in New York. I got to know what's going on in Singapore, right? So you got to. How can you be too right? Can they sleep? But if you really want to make all that money, you know, who cares? You know, if you can get along peacefully with 1/10 of that without all of the angst and the craziness, after all, it's your state of consciousness that counts, right? If you can't sleep, you got to take a pill to sleep, and you're always in anxiety. My God, did someone sell me out? It's insane. You look at those guys; they don't have the nice, blissful, peaceful countenance of the devotees. It's always like anxiety, you know. And you got to crawl. The guys who make the $1 billion, they have to step all over people. You know, they've hurt so many people to get up there, and they know that they know deep inside their heart there's some karma coming, right? So anyway, so today we read those who worship, avidhi purvakam. That was what we read yesterday. They have faith, but they're worshiping me indirectly in the wrong way, and so they don't get the actual benefit. And then he declares in the verse we read today, I am the enjoyer of all the yajnas. Now he said this in the 5th chapter. There's a famous end of the 5th chapter where he gives the peace formula. This is how people can be peaceful. Bhoktaram, yajna tapasam, sarva loka maheshwaram, suridam sarva bhutanam, jatva nam shantam richati. You all have books. Go to 529. It's the very end of the chapter. It's the first place in the chapter, the last verse of the chapter, that Krishna speaks about himself here. Last 3 words. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, just what he's saying in the verse that we read today, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Now, he says just knowing me, thinking, feeling, willing. If you actually know it and you have faith in it, then you'll act on that basis. And you won't be tempted to worship anyone else. Because I know that Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary. Why should I worship the clerk, Indra, when I could worship the boss? I can get everything from the boss. Much more I can get from the boss than I can get from the clerk. That was Krishna's whole argument for the Govardhan lately, you remember? He was saying, oh, that Indra, he's just a clerk. He has to give he's preaching karma mimamsa, he's preaching atheistic philosophy, Krishna to his parents. It's actually quite ironic, funny. But that was the illustration. So Indra did his worst, and it was bad, it was really bad. He tried to annihilate the whole Brahmin community. That was pretty stupid, So he sends down, what has he got? He's got all these incredible storm clouds that are only supposed to be released at the end of the universe. But he says, okay, we'll throw it there. They don't want to go. There's one peasant, they didn't want to go, but he says, don't worry, I'll be right behind you. It'll be okay. He says, all right, here we go. And they pour down all this rain, and it says, you can't tell highland from low. That means that the flood is rising so quickly that everything is dangerous, right? So it looks like the end of the world for it. So what do the Vrijbasis do? They do what they always do. They call on Krishna, please save us. Right? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome. So you know that it's 8:15 darshan? 8:15 darshan. 8:15. Yeah. You can sit, please. Come. Yes. Sit. And we have a little pravachan here. We have so many seats. Oh, you okay? Oh. He hurt himself. Oh, yeah, I think he hurt his ankle there a little bit. Yeah, check it. Yeah, that's it. We have chairs. Get some more chairs. Yeah, you can sit on this side. There you go. He'd be covered. Huh? You go outside. There might be some more out there. Is he going to be able to be quiet though? Yeah, because generally kids can't understand it. Most the adults can't understand it very well. What to speak of the kids? I'm just kidding. You're okay. All right. We got plenty of chairs. All right. You'll be okay. Shh. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. We are studying Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Sorry. We have a Bhagavad Gita for him. That one there. If you want to read along. Do you want to see? Yeah, give her that book. Yes, we're studying 9th chapter. 9th chapter is the most confidential knowledge. Uh-oh. So, text 24, page 404, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabharevacha natomam abhijananti tatpenatas javanti te. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. It sounds like you need to take him into the lobby. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's difficult for children. Next time you bring a coloring book, keep them occupied. That sometimes works. Hare Krishna, thanks for coming. Okay. So what Krishna is telling us here is that we shouldn't worship the gods. We shouldn't worship any other god besides Krishna. That's the whole point of this passage. He's spoken about how if you worship, say, Indra, and you go to Indraloka, Nandanandan, eventually you come back down here. So it really is not going to help you. However, if you worship me, then I will exclusively, I will personally supply everything you need. Ananyas-chintayantam, this is text 22. So text 24, he says, I am the enjoyer, bhokta, and the object of all sacrifices. Those who don't know that, they chamantite, they fall down from their position. So that's what Krishna is giving us here in this 9th chapter. Just worship me. Now text 25 is often quoted. Whoever you worship, that's where you're going to go. Okay? So let's chant together. I'll say, you say. Yanti deva vrata devan. Okay, the book needs to be put on there. I don't know if it's going to work. He requires too much attention. Too much attention. He wants too much attention. Yeah. Take him out in there. You can have your own class. Take the book. Sorry. Yeah, take the book. There's many pictures. There's very nice pictures you can give him. Nice illustrated. Okay, I'll say, you say. Yanti deva vrata devam. Pitrin yanti brachivataha. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. Yanti madhyajinopi mam. Translation, Krishna says to Arjuna, those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. This is on page 405. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Purport. If one has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as Darshapurnamasi. These are vividly described in the Fruit of Activities portion of the Vedas, which recommends a specific worship of the demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha. I don't think it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You'll have to do it out there. I'm sorry. It's just too distracting. Hare Krishna. He wants to stay and be the star. All right. Put it on pause. Sorry. It's not uncommon. Okay. Now what? Trying to get back. You have to hold on to him. Can you please, guy? Tell him one day he can give the class, if he's quiet now. Okay. These sacrifices are vividly described in the fruit of activities portion of the Vedas. That's called the Karma Kanda. That portion which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, a raksha, or a pishacha. Pishacha worship is called black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art, and they think that it is spiritualism, but such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the Pitas achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing the black arts achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotee not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live. And because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahmajyoti. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Harekrishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada summarizes it all right there. So the whole idea is, where is your faith? Where is our faith? If our faith is completely in this material world, we don't want to even know about God. We don't care about that. We don't think it even exists. We know what we can do in this world. We see it. We feel it. You see, that's complete ignorance, because that is simply the jada vision, the vision that's completely covered by the different modes of nature. And even in the scientific realm, we see, if you look at the last development of science for the last 200-300 years, it's been one revelation after another. Who knew anything about the atoms and the molecules and even the bacteria back in 1600, 1500, 1400? That's not so far back. They didn't have. Who would believe that there's a whole world of microscopic beings that make us sick? That's the source of disease. You've heard of the bubonic plague? It took over Europe at one point. The rats were spreading it, right? Then no one knew how it's going on. If they just washed their hands, they would have been. But no one knew about it. Then there was this fellow named Leeuwenhoek. I read about this. I remember this from 3rd grade. And he had some glass, melted glass, and he had a little bead of glass, and he looked in there, and there was all these little creatures in the little water. And suddenly the whole medical science was revolutionized, Western science. So what does that mean? It means that what you believe based on your present senses or body of knowledge that's gleaned from the senses can often be completely overturned, and a whole new paradigm has to go on, and then you have to adjust your activities according to it. So similarly, the Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and our whole sampradaya are trying to open up or draw the curtain to the reality behind this material veil. It's kind of like a curtain. And explain, there is God. There is a Supreme Person, and He's everywhere. He's within our hearts as the Super Soul. He's within every atom as the Paramatma, as the Super Soul, sustaining everything. He's there in the spiritual world, and by his expansions, the Vishnu expansions, he's creating, maintaining, and destroying his whole universe. We ourselves are not who we think we are if we don't know anything about the soul. Everyone's identifying with the body, right? In the West anyway. But that's complete ignorance. How can you be the body, even intuitively, if the body's always changing? We're all, one day we're children, and we're adolescents. So the body's obviously changing, but I'm the same person. So who is it that's the same? It's the soul, it's the Atma. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tata dehantara prabdir dhiras tatra namuyati. A revolutionary verse. This is practically at the beginning of Krishna's teachings. He says, just as the soul in this body passes through different stages, the body changes from childhood to adolescence and youth and middle age, old age. The soul passes through all those bodies. We're reincarnating in this one body. What to speak of next body? Similarly, the soul attains another body after death. The dhira, the calm, sober person, is not bewildered by such a change, knowing that this is universal throughout. But that one piece of knowledge, not only that we attain another body after death, but that we've had many bodies before. Last Sunday, our good friend Mukunda Charan, he bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Is anyone here? Were you there? Yeah, he was trying to deal with the whole problem of evil. Have you ever heard of the problem of evil? Maybe not. It means that, okay, you religious people say that there's a God who's all powerful and all merciful, right? And all beneficent. Then why doesn't he stop all the evil that's going on? Look at all these poor children who are dying or suffering unjustly. Wars are going on, diseases spreading, poverty. What did they ever do? If your God is so powerful and so merciful, why doesn't he stop that? You see what I'm saying? So how can you answer it? If you think, you believe, and this is what the Christians believe, that you come into being when you're born. We don't even believe that, right? We know that we had previous body, anyway. Right? If you don't have that understanding, then there's no answer to the question. There's absolutely no solution to it. You have to, like this one fellow came up with a solution back in the early 80s. He was a Jewish guy, a rabbi. I didn't know this, I forgot that his daughter died or something. And he was trying to minister to people. Naturally, in any congregation, there's going to be people who are going through some suffering, disease or some death, accident, whatever. And some of them are very devout. They've been to the shul, the temple, the Jewish temple, every month, every week, and they're very devout. Why would God punish me? What did I do? I've been very devout. Whereas here, over there, my friends, they're not devout at all. They're doing all kinds of nonsense, and they're enjoying like anything. So that means there must be no God. What's the explanation? So his solution, he couldn't come up with it. Yes, God is all merciful, and he cares about us greatly. But he's not all powerful. He had to come to the solution, which is ridiculous. Then he's not God. God has to be the supreme creator and controller of everything. If you don't think there's anyone like that, then you don't really have any religion. Anyway, the simple solution to it is here in the philosophy in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Why do bad things happen to good people? The premise is wrong. Because in the absolute sense, there's no good people. There's no innocent people in this world, even the little babies. What about their last life and lives? You see? So we understand that. Now, we don't condone any suffering of any child. We wouldn't dream of causing that. But we understand it. It doesn't ruin our belief in God and Krishna and all-merciful Krishna to see that there is suffering in this world. Rather, we take as instructions of how we can mitigate the suffering as much as possible by transcending the modes of nature and ending our whole stay in this material world entirely. We go back to Vaikuntha. What does Vaikuntha mean? Do you know? Does anyone know? You know. The place, freedom from anxiety. Vaikuntha means of any anxiety. So what causes anxiety in this world? The threats of old age, disease, the coronavirus, right? Can happen. Oh no, it's coming, right? Does everyone have their masks? You know? I mean, it's just the way the world is. Padam padam yad vipadam nadesha. Padam means danger at every step. Here we are sitting on a big earthquake fault. Let's face it, right? You know that. You're in SanDiego. There's always some danger. You go, oh, I'll go to the Midwest. Watch out for the tornadoes. You want to go to Miami? The hurricanes will get you. You know? Here we got the earthquakes. And now in Miami you got the earthquakes. Yes, they had an earthquake. Yeah, in the Caribbean it's a whole thing. So one way or another, global warming, the changing, the air pollution, your neighbor, you know, there's always something, danger. It's a complete illusion to think that there's some safety and happiness here. There can never be ultimate happiness as long as we're in this mortal body, because our death is always threatening us. The end to all of our plans of enjoying. So what's the solution? The solution is to work toward not coming back. We want to get out of this material body entirely. And Krishna keeps pounding it in here. He says, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, simply worship me exclusively and you'll come to me. And what is my abode? He describes here, Param Paras Tasmata Bhavonyo Vyakta Vyaktat Sanatana Yaksasarveshu Buddhishu Nashitsu Navanashiti. Besides this universe here, which is always being created and ultimately destroyed on the micro and the macro level, right? Our little world is being our little world is being destroyed, and eventually this whole earth is destroyed, and the whole universe is destroyed. And it's then recreated again and again. Besides that world, there is a transcendental world, which is my world. Avyaktochiri tamahu paramam gatim yam prapina davartante tadhama paramam mama. This is my abode beyond all this creation and destruction. If you go there, you don't come back. So what's going on there? Read the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Krishna is cavorting in the spiritual world with his servants, his friends, the gopis, the cows. This is Goloka Vrindavan. It's the highest Vaikuntha planet. There are many Vaikuntha planets, and that's the highest. So that's our home. When Prabhupada says go back home, back to Godhead, that's what he means. And here Krishna is saying, Yanti madhyaji no pimam. Simply worship Krishna and you'll go there. Yanti means to go. They go to my abode, to me. So now, I began this class before you came in. Thinking, feeling, willing. This is what we do with our mind. We're human beings. So we need to establish full faith in the words of Krishna. And then, with that thinking and that faith, act on them. Feeling that we want to go there, and willing to do what's necessary, which is adopt the do's and the don'ts. The discipline of Bhakti Yoga, centered on hearing and chanting, worshipping, remembering Krishna, like that. So that's what the Prabhupada said. This is a very important verse. Worship. What does worship really mean? Worship doesn't necessarily involve worshipping a god. You can worship the material energy. It means you focus entirely on it. You look toward it for your sustenance, for becoming happy. You see? That's called Yadanushi, what is it? In the 87th chapter of the 10th canto, the prayers of personified Vedas. There's this wonderful prayer. The Vedas are praying to Mahavishnu before the universe is created. They're waking him up. He comes out of Yoga Nidra, he opens his eyes, glances, and all the living entities come into the universes that have been emanating from the pores of his body and his breathing out. Amazing. So they're worshipping him. They're chanting these wonderful prayers that have so much philosophy in them. So this one, Tvodanupatam kulai midamatma sadit priyavat chataditaton maketuhi de priyatmanicha nabadadamantaho asadupasanaya mahano yadunushayabhrame urubaye kusharira. So what he's saying there is that the human form of life is especially suited to worshipping you. Tvodanupatam, anupatam means following your path. Tvodanupatam kulayam idam atmasudit priyavat. And when we worship Krishna, we become fully surrendered. Then the body becomes our greatest friend, meaning that it's our paraphernalia for worship of the Lord. Your senses are no longer your enemies, and your mind, what Krishna said in the 6th chapter, the uncontrolled mind is your worst enemy, But your mind is your friend when you've trained that mind to always think of Krishna and to be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, name, form, qualities, and pastime. And your senses are also following the mind's lead. The hands are doing artik or cleaning the temple or whatever, hitting the computers for Krishna, hitting those keys, In other words, all the senses that otherwise can take you away from Krishna can also take you toward Krishna. So this is all very nice. And as far as you are concerned, you're in the heart as a super soul, and you're happily giving instructions on how to do this and do that for Krishna. He says, Tesham satadayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Those who are worshiping me with love, I give them the intelligence for which they can come to me. On the other hand, those who do not take their pleasure in serving you, my Lord, they worship the impermanent, this material energy. Asad upasanaya, nabadadamantaho asad upasanaya. Asat upasanaya means to worship the asat, the temporary. And what's the result? They don't stay in this very auspicious human body, but they go to kusharira, very lower than human bodies, which are full of fear, and it's all kinds of suffering. So this is the choice we have. We can live in this world according to the tenets given by the Shastra, and be as happy as you can be in this world, because we know we're getting out of it. And because Krishna consciousness is not really dependent on the material world. Even someone who's old and has no facility for sense gratification can be completely happy in Krishna consciousness because his soul is contacting the Lord and enjoying serving that way. So this verse lays it on the line. We can worship the gods, go to the gods. We can worship the Pitris, go to the forefathers. We can worship the spirits, the ghosts, or any of the billionaires of this world. We can worship our glorious leader. No, thank you. Because then you go there. You become like what you worship. You absorb your mind in that. Can you imagine? So we want to become like Krishna. We can become dear to Krishna and take on those qualities: eternality, full of bliss, full of knowledge, Satchidananda. Which is our natural quality. It's not something unnatural. We are. There's a beautiful little sutra in the Vedanta Sutra. Prabhupada would often quote, "Anandamayo bhyasat." Anandamaya means full of bliss. Apsyasat means we can tell that he's full of bliss by seeing his activities and so forth. By the evidence of the Shastra, it's clear that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, it is always full of bliss. Who would deny it? Brahma says it right at the beginning, Ishvarak Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He has a form composed of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So what's that? What do we need to know that for? How does that pertain to us? We're part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, our original body is also Satchit Ananda. But we're minute. We're infinitesimal. So if we don't cling to Krishna's lotus feet, we forget him, then we take on these bodies which are anything but Satchit Ananda. Asat, Achit, Nirananda. That's what we are now. So let's get back to our original nature by worshiping Krishna. It's as simple as that. And it doesn't have to be difficult, as he'll describe in the next verse, which we won't read right now. But this is one of the most famous verses. Patram pushpam palam toyam. Yome bhakti apriyachati tadaham bhakti padidam ishnami bayadanam. I'm not interested in, it doesn't matter what the opulence of your offering is. It's your heart that I'm looking for. You just, if all you have is a leaf, a flower, or fruit, you offer that to me with love, I'll accept it. And if Krishna accepts our offering, we're home free. But it has to be with bhakti. He mentions twice in this verse, with bhakti. The whole thing is the love. So that's, whatever we have, we should offer the best to Krishna. And we'll be benefited 1,000,000 times. That's the import of this verse in this section. Okay, any final comments or questions? Otherwise, we'll end with a nice little poem, an English poem. Mother Yashoda, binding Krishna. We know that pastime, right? Okay. So at last Yashoda caught her little child, who'd smashed a pot of yogurt in a peak. Peak means he's very angry. Though seemingly annoyed, she felt beguiled by little Krishna's loving charm unique. "Oh imp, I've caught you now. But do not fear. You see, I've thrown the stick upon the floor. But I must bind you with these ropes, my dear, lest you increase your mischief more and more." And so Yashoda bound her little son, who hid his glory to evoke her love. The blessings she enjoyed are never won by gods and goddesses who dwell above. Very pertinent to this subject here. We don't want blessings of those gods and goddesses. We want a blessing of that little Krishna who's tied up to the mortar, evoking the love of his dear mother. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Now, in 5 minutes, we'll have darshan of Radha Giridhari. Thank you for staying. I hope there was something there.